Life on our planet has always lived with the natural pattern of light and has evolved to use light as a reliable biological cue. But then came artificial lighting and the natural pattern has been disrupted. What form this disruption has taken and what we as gardeners and homeowners can do about it is well worth exploring.
I'm Dr. Kaori Yokochi. I'm a wildlife ecologist and also a lecturer at Deakin University in Victoria. I'm also a member of Network for Ecological Research on Artificial Light.
It's really amazing to have this sort of an area right in the city.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in the middle of the suburbia. Really, it's like a refuge.
It's late afternoon and Dr. Kaori Yokochi and I are strolling through Uambri, a Trust for Nature property in the eastern Melbourne suburb of Heathmont. So what sort of wildlife would you find in here?
Oh, well, obviously possums, quite a few gliders, owls probably during the night, and definitely I can see this as a really good habitat for microbats.
And what sort of tools would you use for observing in a place like this? What is this? This is like a thermal scope?
Yeah, so that's the thermal scope. These we normally use at nighttime, but it can be useful during the day as well because it picks up the heat signature. At nighttime, especially if you wanted to observe the natural behaviour of animals without shining light on, these are really cool. So for me, my research and what my, interest focuses on is the light pollution. When we talk about light pollution, it comes in two main different ways. So one is those direct light. So, your street lights, light at home, light in your garden, all those lights are individual lights that you might be able to turn on, off. And there's another, form, which we call sky glow, which is more of a larger scale that what you can see towards city if you're looking from, like a rural area or outside from city. That's like an accumulation of all those lights that's pointing upwards.
And how is that impacting wildlife?
In many different ways, because wildlife has evolved with natural patterns of light. So by changing that natural pattern, we are kind of impacting the wildlife in how they go about everyday life.
What would be an example of that?
Well, so any wildlife species that you can think of will probably be impacted, but it's just the extent that's different. So some local studies have found, for example, Australian magpies. So they should be sleeping at night normally, right? But if they're in elite areas, their sleep is disrupted. And so that will lead to, immune system and all the physiological, processes that have been compromised. Also, things like woolly wagtails, you might have them in your garden. Naturally, they sometimes call during the night. That's their natural behavior, but that can be altered because of the light, both sky glow and also direct. So my research focuses on microbats. So those are the small insectivorous bats that's flying around in our gardens. So if you live in Australia, you're living with microbats. In Australia, we have over 70 species. For example, in Greater Melbourne region, we have around 17 species. It's the most, diverse group of animals that actually live with us.
Kaori, what is happening here and what's it going to do?
So this is the bat detector. So because we can't hear the calls of the microbat because it's in ultrasonic range, this helps us actually record the calls and then let us see what's around. I normally leave this out for maybe 2 weeks or so to get enough data. And then once I get enough data, I take it back and then load it onto my computer and then actually visualize it. And then I can see, different frequency of the calls and different shapes. And that's how you can tell, what kind of species you have in that area.
So you can't hear it, but you can see it?
Yep. And if you can also slow it down to actually listen to it and kind of figure out what it might sound like if you could hear them.
And so what have you shown are the impacts on the microbats with artificial light?
We have found, and also other studies have found, is that some particular species, especially those that prefers to stay in what we call clutter, so vegetated areas, they just avoid the lit areas.
What is the bat's role in the ecosystem? Why should we care?
Yeah, so the bats, especially the insectivorous bats that I focus on, they are small and they're hungry because they need to fly around. They need to use a lot of energy. So they are really good controllers or natural controllers of insects, so agricultural pests or, like mosquitoes. So having microbats around are actually a really good thing.
Tell me about the research into mosquitoes and light.
A study has found that in a lit area, female mosquitoes' biting season is extended. So they bite humans for longer, right? And also if you think about bats being, deterred by the light. So the less bat eating these mosquitoes eating humans, I guess, drinking blood for longer, can actually increase the risk of mosquito-borne disease in humans.
Do you see hope for change and that we could actually wind back some of these impacts?
Yeah, absolutely, I think so. One thing with this light issue is that it's one of those issues that as long as people are aware, they can actually turn it off. And they can change the way we use light, right? So we need light, but we can use it in a better way, more sensitive way. And I think that's absolutely possible, especially if people are more aware of this issue.
Our cities obviously are always going to be places that are really well lit. Are there areas still that are naturally dark?
Yes, so there are some areas, but those areas are becoming rarer and rarer. And for me and any ecologist who is working in this area, for us, that's such a valuable habitat for wildlife. And we really need to be thinking about creating corridors of these dark areas, just like we think about corridors of vegetated areas. And that will really help wildlife living in urban areas.
Later in the show, I'll be meeting someone dedicated to helping homeowners create those darker areas around the garden. Earlier in the show, I met Dr. Kaori Yukoshi, a wildlife ecologist who told me about the impact of artificial light on our native wildlife. It's a huge problem, and so I needed to find someone with some simple solutions.
My name is Landon Bannister. I'm a lighting professional and the chair of the technical committee at the Australasian Dark Sky Alliance. In my day job, I'm a lighting consultant. I help people decide what lighting should go where and how to make spaces look beautiful, functional and work. And of an evening environment, I'm usually talking people out of trying to use too many lights and pare things back. We really want to see the establishment of dark sky places in Australia. That's a big part of it. So areas of land that are protected from light pollution. And we really want to see this trend of our cities, destroying our view of the stars reversed. And if you're standing in the middle of Melbourne, you can't see a star. You're lucky if you can get maybe 3 on block out a few street lights and maybe you can pick up 2 or 3 stars. But it's become an incredibly bright skies that the majority of us are living under in Australia.
Does the type of light you use matter?
We can obviously question the quantity of the light, but the colour of the light's really important as well. So we like warm colour temperatures. It is generally much better for humans, so it's going to have a far less impact on your sleep patterns and your circadian system with warm light than cool light, because cool light's a daytime source. We can look for things like warm light. Sometimes it's represented in correlated colour temperatures, CCT, so we generally say to people look for something 2,700 or lower. And those are really good. Not only that, they generally make your spaces feel nicer and cosy. Whew, wow. And this is exactly that kind of overlighting we were talking about. Do you feel comfortable here at the moment?
I got to say, if I was here for a party, I'd be down there in the back of the yard in the dark.
Yeah, because this is daytime lighting, and a lot of people do this to their nighttime environments. It's not comfortable. More importantly, it's not good for the environment. You can actually see how much light's escaping this space. It's hitting the neighbour's facade, it's going straight up into the sky. Bad for wildlife, bad for us, bad for the environment in general, causing sky glow. This is the type of thing we should really try to avoid.
And it's a terrible vibe.
It's a bad vibe. Not good at all. But we could probably do this a little bit better. So I'm just going to show you just an example of that. So you can see the light's being pushed down. It's not in our eyes anymore. We haven't got that glare. It's being controlled in the environment. And does that feel a little bit nicer to sit around, maybe have a glass of wine, have a conversation?
It's enough light.
I promise you, if we sat here for 15 minutes, it'd probably be too bright and you might ask me to dim it down. Generally of an evening, 1 or 2 of these scattered around, keeping the light controlled. And people get very caught up in, we want to push light out to where we're sitting. We don't see light. Light's actually invisible. Light doesn't exist until it hits an object. And so lighting objects, lighting columns, lighting things that reflect light are far more important than just trying to shoot light into random areas and try to direct it away from objects. A good ecologist friend of mine says, every time you light a tree, you've destroyed someone's home. So the first thing I will say about lighting trees is just be aware it will vacate, the insect life will leave, you're basically destroying habitat. So we have to be really, really careful about it. The other thing I'll say though is lit vertical elements is actually really nice seeing it if you do it properly. The fact that the lighting's hitting the edge of the tree means the lighting's also going past the tree. So there's a lot of wasted light, a lot of wasted energy with this. And because everything's sort of lit, everything's floodlit, it's actually quite two-dimensional and boring. Let's have a go at fixing it.
All right.
So that last light we had, that was 30 watts of energy. I'm going to now show you one that's just 4 watts of energy and we'll see if we can do a little bit of a better job. If we have to light a tree, we don't really recommend it, but the light should be controlled. It should be warm, much warmer than what we had before. And more importantly, you can see the beam is actually contained within the tree. We're not spilling light out into the atmosphere. And it's also directional, so we can actually angle it in at the tree. We're nice and close, and all of that texture and all of that dimension actually makes it far more visually interesting with a lot less energy and a lot less light pollution. So a much better way of doing things.
I mean, imagine you might do this for a few hours when you're actually using the garden, and then you can turn it off.
Absolutely. Please don't leave this running all night because I can guarantee all those little ant life and insect life is slowly vacating the tree as we do this now. So this is a really good example of, I guess, a dark sky sensitive light. The light's targeted to where we want it to be. It's a pathway, so we can see the path. It's very low wattage, it's at a low level. The light's quite controlled, it's not spilling everywhere, and it's warm. So, to be honest, we don't need a lot of them.
It's true, it's like 6 or 7 metres long, and one light is plenty of light to find your way safely.
Put this on a sensor, and we've done a pretty good job of actually trying to reduce light pollution here. The beautiful thing about light pollution, it's very easy to solve. We just simply turn out all the lights.
Right, it's not like trying to rehabilitate an environment that we've damaged. You can actually just switch it off.
It is literally as simple as flicking a switch.